Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. I just want to take the time and thank everyone for joining us for today's session. We are excited to provide you with valuable information regarding your multiple award schedule MAS contract. And wanted to also congratulate you on your new award. My name is Tommy Williams, and I am with the PSHC Stakeholder Engagement Division as the MAS Industry Engagement Manager. And in today's session, we hope to equip you with the crucial compliance knowledge required to maintain your MAS contract. We will also share how your ability to provide solutions that support agency priorities through the services you offer is one of the best ways to promote to your customer. And then lastly, we'll show you how to find free resources tailored to your needs with the MAS program. But before we get started, let's learn more about the presentation. So we're going to start with a few housekeeping items. This presentation does not serve as contracting advice, nor does it modify contract terms and conditions of your schedule. If you have questions during the session, please type them in the Q&A pod. And then also note that this presentation is for those who currently have an awarded MAS contract. The recording will be made available on the PSHC playlist on YouTube. And then our panel will address any pending remaining questions in the Q&A box, or they'll be answered live at the end of the presentation. And so for all attendees, you will receive a copy of the slides following the end of the presentation, along with a link to the survey and some other resources for you to utilize. And now with that covered, let's move along and we'll find out who you'll be hearing from in today's session and all the GSA professionals providing the training today. So today's session is to equip you with the information necessary to be successful and better understand the program. But first, I'd like to introduce the speakers you'll hear from today. So as I already said, I am the MAS Industry Engagement Manager, and I have extensive experience as a contracting officer, contracting specialist. And our goal is to provide information on how to share your services for agencies and other authorized negotiators under this guidance. This segment of the session helps you communicate better with prospective customers and hopefully gives you a better understanding of the ongoing commitment to be successful utilizing your MAS contract. And so after the first portion of the presentation, our contract compliance analyst, formerly known as IOA or Industrial Operation Analyst, and you still may see this on GSA sites, and we're working to get that updated. Will be Nathan. Would you like to say a quick hello? Share the areas you kick off with us today.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon. Yeah, we're going to talk about all things compliance and the things you can do now to make your life easier in the future when it comes time for a compliance review.
All right, thank you, Nathan. And then also we have on the call Elizabeth and David, and they'll be providing that background support, answering questions while we're going through the slides. And then lastly, you'll hear from me again. I'll share the free resources where you can go if you need help. And this will include a live demo of the forecast tool. It allows you to search for opportunities. So let's move along and I will walk you through in more detail, highlighting these critical areas you'll need to focus on for your MAS contract. And we'll begin with the acronyms. So these are frequently used acronyms, and they will come up during today's presentation. So please keep them in mind as we move forward. Yes, as I stated, you will receive a copy of the slides, but if you want to take a quick picture of the screen now to have for reference as we go along, then please do so. And as you well know by now, CO or contracting officer or PCO, the procurement contracting officer, is the person who awarded the contract. And then IDIQ is the base contract that was already awarded. When when you completed your offer. And then we'll share more on that as it governs your contract, especially under the Revolutionary FAR Overhaul, Part 8, and that includes the updates to the FAR. And we'll continue to update this regulation as the information is released, and GSA will keep you posted on our MAS Interact platform. So let's start with the fun part. So marketing your MAS contract is important so that you can be equipped to share your services and expertise with our customer agencies in the federal marketplace. I'll go into detail on compliance, covering RFO Part 8, which governs the program, because knowing this information will help you articulate how an agency can benefit from the services you offer. And we'll be starting with the eBuy platform. So eBuy is where agencies will interact with you the most. And why is that, you ask? This platform allows agencies to post and manage requests for information and quotes, or RFIs and RFQs. And this is to gain maximum contractor participation. It's also designed to make online procurement faster and easier for federal, civilian, and military buyers. It provides access to a large pre-vetted vendor pool, which now includes you, and ensures competitive pricing. In addition to offering best pricing, it reduces your cost in finding business opportunities. And it also helps to establish new business relationships with the procurement key players. And then just a few key features are that saves time, provides an increase in sales potential, and all of this allows you to market your business to agencies, because unfortunately we cannot do that for you. However, with this knowledge, you are on the path to success. And then next we'll share the eTools market research from the GSA Advantage site, and it'll include a link to eLibrary on the next slide. All right, so GSA Advantage and eLibrary, and they will become invaluable free tools that will assist you in market research. The platform uses the eTools menu as you see here, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. And we encourage you to take time and become familiar with the site. So once you log in, and for help, link their job aid, and that was on the previous slide. Well, next we'll move along and discuss a key way to provide a total solution to an agency with a contractor team arrangement. So a contractor team arrangement is a great marketing and business tool that allows other MAS contract holders to collaborate with one another and provide a total solution for an agency. The arrangement is developed by you, contract holder, and submitted to the buyer as part of the response to a solicitation. And if you know a requirement in advance, say from attending an industry day, and these can be found on sam.gov, it is best to establish the CTA in advance. That will ensure you're ready to submit your proposal timely when the requirement is made available. But a few things to keep in mind: you need to identify all vendors and what they're expected to perform. The buyer will not have oversight on this function. You will need to conduct the research using eLibrary or Advantage that shows all the MAS contract holders, and you can even search by SIN. And this also allows vendors to be responsible for tracking and reporting its own sales in accordance with the terms of their MAS contract. And you're responsible for paying the related IFF. So contract compliance is very important in maintaining your GSA MAS contract. The contracts are awarded in 5-year periods. The entire contract can be 20 years, but it is not guaranteed. So for the Revolutionary FAR Overhaul, Part 8, the purpose: the federal supply schedule is designed to make buying easier for federal agencies. Think of it as a pre-negotiated catalog of commercial supplies and services at prices that reflect large volume buying power. GSA manages the program, and the rules come from the FAR. specifically for Part 8.401. So this isn't just policy, it's regulation. And so any agency using the FSS must follow the ordering procedures in GSAR 538.7102-2. And that ensures every purchase is consistent government-wide. And the ordering activity is any federal agency or other eligible entity that allow to place an order or set up a BPA, a blanket purchase agreement. So the order level materials are the products or services you need that aren't known when this contract is awarded, when your scheduled contract is not awarded. And in OLMs, they allow agencies to add those items at the time of the order, task order, even though they weren't priced on the base scheduled contract. And so a BPA is like a flexible long-term ordering agreement. It's set up for repetitive needs, so the agency doesn't have to start from scratch every time it buys the same type of product or service. Each BPA has to clearly spell out the scope of work, the ordering period, who is authorized to place orders, and the specific ordering procedures. That keeps everything clear for both the agency and the vendor. There's an annual review. It has to happen at least once a year or before extending a BPA. The agency checks the agreement and makes sure that it still represents the best value. The order procedures are being followed and the pricing remains competitive. And so the SAM.gov registration is very important when it comes to contract compliance for your GSA MAS contract. A best practice is to put a renewal reminder on your calendar and give yourself enough time to meet the annual renewal date, because it can delay you in receiving task orders or notifications of agency events. And in here and in the next slides, we'll give the streamlined view of everything you need to stay compliant under your MAS contract. And then you also need to make sure that you stay current with equal opportunity and EEO laws, verify employee work authorization, and regularly review any additional small business certifications that you have elected to show in the registration for your business. And now we'll discuss the contract management. Your company will need to complete all the required tasks to maintain your GSA MAS contract. This includes reporting your IFF and remitting the funds according to the terms and conditions of the contract. All MAS mods that are released and refreshes need to be reviewed and signed within 90 days of being delivered to your authorized negotiators. When it is time for the CO to make a determination on whether to exercise the option for your contract or not, one of the items that is evaluated is minimum sales, which is $100,000 during the first base 5-year period and $125,000 for each option period after that. If your contract is not producing these minimum sale levels, then it is possible that your contract's option may not be exercised and the contract allowed to expire. There are caveats, as there are administrative costs associated with maintaining your contract. So this is being enforced as there are administrative costs, and this helps the government reach their goal of reducing costs that are not beneficial to taxpayers. And you can access our MAS Interact page, which is another tool to assist you in communications from us here with PSHC. And then also you can get GSA email updates that can help you. And as you see, they are both linked in this slide. Now we're going to talk task orders and modifications. This is where many of you are right now. We will not claim to know your business, and therefore please know GSA does not market your contract for you. You can explore working as a subcontractor to help elevate your business, which is a common practice. Also, other scheduled contract holders can elect to partner under the CTA, as mentioned before, and this is two of you teaming up to provide a combined, authentic solution to customers. The contracting officer does not assist you on submitting your proposal. No one knows your business better than you. And when you are awarded, know there is a contractor performance assessment report. And this document provides the grade for your performance that other government agencies can review when conducting evaluations for making future awards. So as time goes on, you may want to modify your contract. A best practice is to discuss the contemplated changes with your CO prior to submitting to gain clarity on what they will need from you when it is submitted. We ask that you be patient with your CO and CS as the rapid shifts in policy changes, along with shortages in personnel, have caused some delays, but however, you will be assisted in a reasonable amount of time. Modifications are how administrative actions and changes to terms and conditions of the contract are handled. They can occur when initiated from GSA contracting personnel, through MAS modifications, or when you, the contractor, initiates a modification request. And this is the screenshot of the system that you see on the screen. Now let's look at where your contractor-initiated contractor modifications are managed. So this is where E-mods are completed. It's the same system that your E-offer was submitted and managed. When you want to request any type of modification, this is where the requests are submitted. This includes SIN changes, authorized negotiator changes, or submitting the documentation for a novation name change. Ensure that you read through the MAS modification guide to ensure that you are submitting all of the required documentation for that specific modification request. This will make the process much smoother. And if you do not already have this document, then it will be included along with the slides after the presentation is completed. Next, we'll discuss the points of contact for your contract. So to ensure customers can find and contact you, it is important to maintain updated points of contact across multiple platforms. Make sure your POC is clearly listed on the cover page of your MAS price list. So your e-library POC, this is where agencies look for vendors. But remember, this POC is different from eBuy. So you need to keep it updated for agencies to reach out. Your eBuy POC may vary by the NAICS code or the SIN. So ensure that all relevant POCs are up to date to manage your RFQs effectively. Because maintaining updated contact information helps maximize your visibility and increase your chances of success in federal contracting. Let's move along and discuss the transactional data reporting and some of the best practices for you as a newly awarded vendor. So TDR reduces industry compliance burden by removing the need to disclose commercial sales practices and adhere to the most favored customer pricing. TDR also enables the government to better understand what is being procured. Transactional data reporting is now mandatory for all SINs under the MAS contract program. So the data is needed for better decision-making when it comes to MAS procurement. The information collected through TDR only enhances the MAS program. The reporting goes from quarterly to monthly, and Refresh 31, which was published on April 2nd, makes this mandatory. And you'll have 60 days from its issuance against your contract to accept. I know it was mentioned earlier about MAS modifications having 90 days for acceptance, but there's a different caveat for this specific MAS modification. And they are normally sent in batches, so ensure your emails are monitored and that the mass modification is accepted as a new condition of the mass contract. So this change increases competition and allows the vendors to offer discounts that align with their company. So you'll begin reporting the following quarter after your acceptance. And so the applicable reporting quarter begins in July, and you will have until August 31st to report. Just remember, it is a monthly requirement after you begin. An IFF can be paid monthly or quarterly, depending on your company's preference. All sales are still reported in SRP. And if you need more information on how to do that, then you can access the link that is in this slide. So these are the items that you will typically need to report in SRP for your sales. Some of these may not look familiar, as the TDR data requires more information than the non-TDR sales reporting requirement. We need more information to make better decisions. And these are descriptions of each that are listed on the slide. You can take a quick glance at them. As you see, the task order, delivery order, PEID, that is different from your contract number. And then the unit of measure, each are hourly, and then for non-standard hours, the only acceptable reporting unit of measure right now is OT. And then description of your deliverable, that is very important as well when you're reporting. So this may not be subject that some of you are familiar with, but just remember, setting up your internal systems is the hardest part, but once it's complete, it will make life much easier when it comes to reporting sales. It is recommended that you access the link for the TDR requirements page to get a head start on establishing everything for TDR prior to the reporting requirement. The UCID will make life much easier and keeps everything organized, as the cross-reference is already established and connects your GSA MAS contract labor category names to your internal names. And then these are the resources that we currently have available for vendors to utilize to make this process as seamless as possible. There is also training happening that you can register to attend. And then also below is the email inbox that can be utilized to submit any additional questions that are not specifically addressed in the resources. We will provide another TDR slide that goes into further detail about the requirements and how to properly report your sales in SRP. But now I will turn it over to our CCA, who will share more information about his team's role in your contracting journey. All right, Nathan, take it away. Oh, Nathan, you're on mute.
Thanks, Tommy. We can move right along. My name's Nathan Bragg. I'm a CCA, Contract Compliance Analyst, formerly IOA, and I'm going to be discussing the contractor assessment process. Contractor assessments are the primary method GSA will assess and evaluate your internal controls and overall compliance with your GSA Schedule Contract terms and conditions. It is important to understand what the contract requirements are now so you can comply with them and have a successful contractor assessment. In the process of the assessment, a CCA will test your sales tracking system, labor qualifications, and administrative processes, as well as review your GSA schedule records to identify potential problems and areas of concern. It is important to remember that CCAs are there to assist you. If problems are found, the CCA will make recommendations to assist in fixing them. If you have questions or challenges, your CCA will be there to address them. This process is intended to assess your ability to maintain contract compliance. The CCA acts as the eyes and ears of the contracting officer and is tasked with performing contractor assessments. The CCA is a great educational resource and a wealth of information. You can look up which CCA is assigned to your contract using the lookup tool linked here to the Vendor Support Center. The contractor assessment will cover a number of different topics, including sales reporting, pricing, labor qualifications, and others. We won't have time today to go through all the areas listed below. However, I will review key areas, noting that all are important for a successful assessment. Now is the time to start thinking about compliance. Included in this slide are links to a variety of resources which are well worth your time to review. Contractors need to report their GSA sales on a regular basis to the SRP system. To do so, you need to know how to identify which sales are reportable and flag them in your system so you can separate them by SIN number to do the reporting. The three elements to determine eligibility of whether or not a sale should be reported are as follows. Number one, is the customer eligible to buy from your MAS contract? Number two, is the item or service awarded on your contract? And number three, has the customer established some other contract vehicle outside of the MAS program? For a detailed discussion, refer to the What is a Sale resource link on the right-hand side of this slide. The industrial funding fee is currently 0.75%, and it is inclusive within the awarded pricing on your GSA price list. The IFF is what your customers pay to use the GSA MAS program, and it is how the MAS program is funded. Contractors collect the IFF from customers and remit it back to GSA on a quarterly basis. By being awarded a schedule contract, GSA is conveying to eligible customers that your company's prices are fair and reasonable. It's important to provide the approved pricing to all eligible customers, and it is your responsibility to do so. To be more competitive, you can offer discounts in a variety of forms. You can offer across-the-board discounts or special discounts to specific MAS contract customers. It is important to understand your GSA schedule prices are the ceiling, meaning you cannot increase your GSA prices even if you receive consent from the customer agency. However, price increases may be approved through an economic price adjustment modification negotiated with your GSA schedule contracting officer. While some contracts already have annual escalation built into the pricing, you may request an EPA modification to revise your GSA MAS contract prices as appropriate. If prompt payment discounts are awarded in the contract, you are required to display the prompt payment information on all MAS invoices. If the ordering agency requires invoice submission through an electronic platform, such as DoD's wide area workflow, it is your responsibility to relay those same terms within the online system. Prompt payment discounts awarded on the MAS contract are binding and may not be substituted for other concessions. The one exception relates to payments made by government purchase cards where prompt payment discount terms do not apply. Labor qualification review will only apply to contracts that provide professional services. Professional service contracts are typically awarded with labor categories. These labor categories describe the minimum qualifications required of the person staffed in that labor category. The minimum qualifications are awarded and are unique to your contract. They were defined at the time the contract was awarded. So, for example, during an assessment, the CCA will confirm if your senior engineer requires 10 years of experience and a PhD, you cannot staff somebody with only 5 years of experience and a master's degree. Sometimes customers' agencies prefer to use a specific name for a labor category, and that may not exactly match the name on your awarded labor categories. Contractors may perform a crosswalk that clearly identifies which GSA MAS contract labor category maps to the functional labor categories utilized at the task order level. The Trade Agreement Act applies to all MAS contracts and governs the allowable country of origin for manufactured products, among other things. The list of compliant countries are identified in the TAA clause. It is important to note that the list is not static. Countries can change depending upon newly instituted trade agreements or abolishment of others. Service contractors are handled a little differently and are considered compliant if they are headquartered within a Trade Agreement Act compliant country. Only products and services awarded on the GSA schedule price list may be sold using the GSA MAS contract. Some open market items may be included, but must be clearly marked as such. One example is when a project involves travel. Your contract typically does not include rates for things like airline flights and hotel stays. However, you can still include these in your project, provided you clearly mark them as non-contract items. Non-contract or open market items should be identified at the order level and marked on invoices, as these are not GSA reportable and therefore not subject to IFF. They should also be marked on proposals. As an assessment wraps up, the CCA will provide a debrief of their analysis, including areas where compliance was demonstrated and where compliance concerns exist. The goal of the assessment process is to give contractors the opportunity to demonstrate compliance. If areas of non-compliance are identified, the CCA will work with the contractor to identify root causes and corrective actions. If a contractor does not agree, they should provide the basis of their objection so that it can be reflected in the report and they can review the issue with the contracting officer. Upon finalization of the assessment, a report is written and delivered to the contractor as well as the contracting officer. After the report has been finalized, the CCA disposes of sensitive company information per rigorous requirements. On the following slides, Tommy will share the last key takeaways for today's session and share where you can go if you need more assistance maintaining your newly awarded contract.
All right, thank you, Nathan. If you recall, I earlier spoke about many of these services in the marketing segment. And I'll take you on a tour on a few of these free resources, starting with the Vendor Support Center. So, all right, so here is the Vendor Support Center, and I'm sure many of you have been on this website before. But it is a single location to assist you in managing and market research for your GSA MAS contract. Note the tabs across the top of the site. You'll be able to find everything you need to manage your contract to ensure you are compliant with its terms and conditions. And so you see the managing my GSA contract. It is categorized by different sections. And of course, we will go to the multiple award schedule contract part, as that is what is applicable for right now. The first thing you will need to do, you will need to make sure that you register your contract if you have not already. And then you will be able to utilize all of the sections listed here. Contract compliance, contract management. These are very important parts that will help you along your MAS contract journey. And then you can also peruse through the rest of the options on here to get additional information. All right, so the acquisition gateway forecast tool. Let it load up. All right, and then you come onto this page, and as you can see, it gives you some helpful instructions listed here right in this box. And then as you scroll down, you can see the actual tool. This tool allows you to see any upcoming contracting opportunities. And the main filter is by agency name. And you can continue to select additional filters to find a specific opportunity. And as you add additional different filters to the tool, it will continue to work in the background and then display the information that based on the filters that you selected. So we will just select GSA, and then also even within each agency, there are different organizations that may or may not have different contracting opportunities. And like I said, as you continue to select different filters, it'll continue to pare down what information is displayed over here. And then you can take the time to select the different hyperlinks that you see for each opportunity, and it'll give you more information for what those are. And then there are also other resources on here as well, as you see up top with these different tabs. So you can take your time and explore this website, because it'll be able to give you specific detail or information you may be curious about, and it may even tell you something that you hadn't even thought of that you can utilize your MAS contract for. All right, so I know most people want to discover what's really on the schedule. And so the multiple award schedule is the federal government's one-stop shop for everything from office supplies to cutting-edge IT solutions. It already has pre-negotiated prices, delivery terms, and warranties, which makes it easy for agencies to meet their missions while saving taxpayer dollars. But today's suppliers, they want more than a catalog. They want some insight. So how do our sales compare to others? Where are the growth opportunities? What trends can guide our next move? And so those are all key features on this Fast Schedule Sales Query Plus. It allows you to complete custom reports. You'll be able to filter by product or service, SIN, NAICS, business size, contract number, or even more, down to fiscal year and quarter. It already has pre-built dashboards where you can view sales trends, early contract performance, and see success rates at a glance. And then the interactive map will drill down by city, state, or zip code to see sales by vendor and region. And this really matters because it turns raw data into actionable insight, helping you spot opportunities, benchmark performance, and refine your strategy. And the instructions are listed right here on the web page. So when you go in here, it'll help you do what you needed to do. So this is a great data resource for personnel that work with the government. As you go in, we'll see that it lists the president's agenda and what the administration is focusing on for the future of the government. This is great information to review so you can understand the way that the federal government is moving and kind of what you need to focus on so that you can maximize your MAS contract. All right, the Census Business Builder. So this is a great resource, especially for small businesses, because this provides selected demographic and economic data from the Census Bureau, and it's tailored to specific types of users in a simple to access and use format. It's a great resource to reference to figure out where the focus of your business needs to be successful. All right, and here on this page, we have consolidated the links that we've shared throughout the presentation, and we've added others such as the YouTube playlist. And then also you see for the MAS PMO office hours, which you can attend as they're live and held on every third Thursday of the month. And the next office hours is actually in 2 days on Thursday, April 16th. So you can use the link on here to sign up for the office hours and attend, as they always are able to provide a great amount of information. All right, now we can check to see if there are any remaining questions and answer them live or in the Q&A pod.
We had a few questions in the Q&A pod. I think they've all been answered.
Yes. So I see there are 2 questions about the slides. So yes, we will be sending out the slides. There'll also be some other documentation that was be submitted with the slides as well. And that's just to help you manage your contract. And they will be submitted as soon as, well, since there aren't any questions that need to be additionally answered, should have them to you within the next 24 hours. So that way you'll be able to utilize the links. And also, because I know you'll need to sign up for the upcoming office hour session on Thursday. So yes, you will have them by tomorrow. All right, no further. Okay, I see one just popped up. Are there any changes with regards to filing modifications after accepting refresh 31? That one I'm not quite sure what you mean. But all of the applicable changes and terms and condition changes for your contract will be listed in that MAS modification for refresh 31. So those will be the changes that are applicable, and then anything going forward would be released in an additional MAS modification or something specifically that you modify for your specific contract. So if there's something that you want to submit or change on the contract, then that would be a discussion you would have with your CO or CS team for your contract. The time of the office hours on Thursday was 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If not, I want to thank you all for your time and attention today. I also want to thank Nathan, Elizabeth, and David for working with me to get this presentation done, and also Tim for working the Zoom background. So thank you all for your efforts, and thank you for getting a successful MAS contract, and hopefully this has provided a better understanding of its usage in the federal procurement process. Like I said, we will send out the slides, the survey link, mass modification guide, and then also the TDR slide deck, and then further answer any additional Q&A questions that we get. And all of the links that you have seen today or listed on the slides, they will work in the PDF version of the slides that you receive. And the email will only go to the address that was listed for the attendee, not for any email address that you have for your MAS contract, but only the one that shows that you attended. All right, thank you all very much, and I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day.